Today we'd like to talk about the role of public administration in combating agromafias, that is, the infiltration of organized crime into the agri-food sector. This is not just a sectoral issue, it's a matter that cuts across the economy, the environment and social justice. Understanding how criminal networks operate in agriculture helps us understand the evolution of the mafia itself and highlights why administrative law and public oversight are essential to stopping it. Historically, the mafia has always had a deep, almost genetic relationship with the land. In pre-industrial times, up until the 18th century, arable land was the main source of wealth, and where there was wealth, there was power. Criminal groups quickly understood that owning land meant controlling people, production and profit. Over time, in many regions, this connection became so strong that land ownership and mafia power became almost indistinguishable. Fast forward to today, and the agri-food chain remains one of the main engines of local development. But within this system, new models of agromafia have evolved, moving beyond extortion or intimidation into full-scale business operations. They are not just local gangs anymore. They are complex enterprises controlling supply chains, manipulating markets, and laundering money from drug trafficking, prostitution, and other crimes. At the same time, they sustain another major social plague, caporalato, or illegal labor exploitation. In 2023 alone, about 230,000 irregular workers were trapped in this system of abuse and vulnerability. So, what can public institutions do? While public administration is not the only weapon in this fight, it represents a vital cornerstone. Prevention, law enforcement, and civic participation must all work together. Awareness campaigns, education on legality in schools, and initiatives that promote transparency are key to building a culture of legality. Because in the long term, cultural resistance is just as important as legal resistance. One of the biggest challenges is the gray area between the legal and illegal economy. Mafias operate right on this frontier, blending in with honest businesses, exploiting regulatory gaps, and taking advantage of the division between national, regional, and European institutions. To be effective, public administration must constantly adapt not only to new economic models, but also to the new transitional dynamics. In recent years, we have seen an expansion of public responsibilities, especially environmental protection. Sustainability has become one of the strongest tools against criminal infiltration. Through the European Green Deal and the Farm to Fork strategy, the European Union is promoting sustainable agriculture, biodiversity, and climate neutrality by 2050. The new Common Agriculture Policy, the CAP for 2023-2027, support farmers who adopt greener and more transparent production models. But this is not just about the environment. By making agriculture more transparent, we also make it more resilient to criminal infiltration. European institutions such as OLAF and the European Public Prosecutor's Office play a key role here. They oversee the use of agriculture funds, a budget of about 620 billion euros through audits and financial investigations. At national level, Italy has built a solid network of institutions. AGEA, which manages agricultural payments, specialized carabinieri units for agri-food protection, the Financial Police, and other agencies like NAS and Antitrust Authority. Together, they enforce national and European Union regulation fighting fraud, illegal trade, and mafia infiltration. Regional governments also play a decisive role. They set up a commission of inquiry, local observatories, and programs to give confiscated land a new social or productive purpose. Prefects who represent the state and the local level have been given strong powers to monitor public contracts and companies applying for European funds. The 2021 Reform introduced a new tools of collaborative prevention, administrative measures that allow temporary supervision in cases of suspected infiltration. This means acting quickly and precisely without paralyzing an entire sector. Another key tool is the whitelist, an official register of clean, mafia-free companies. It's a practical way to ensure transparency and fairness in public procurement. In 2023, inspection in high-risk sectors such as catering, distribution, and food production uncovered more than 45,000 administrative violations, leading to seizure and confiscation worth over 8 billion euros. The goal of this criminal network is not just profit, it's control. Control of markets, of people, of opportunity. And this control feeds a grey economy that still accounts for about 10% of Italy's gross domestic product.
Another powerful tool is the Anti-Mafia Interdiction Order, a measure that blocks companies suspected of infiltration from participating in public tenders. Between 2021 and 2022, around 313 agri-food companies were banned from public contracts. These figures show how prevention can stop criminal networks before they take root in the production system. At the same time, recent reforms have strengthened the procedural guarantees from businesses, ensuring they have the right to be heard, to present evidence, and to appeal. This balance between prevention and rights is essential to keeping the system fair and effective. Technology is also changing the way we fight back. Tools like satellite monitoring, GIS mapping, and blockchain are helping authorities track agricultural activity, check land use, and trace every step of the supply chain. Digital systems make it much harder for criminal networks to hide and much easier for honest companies to prove their integrity. At the same time, legality protocols, agreements between public bodies and private companies promote transparency and traceability in public procurement, making corruption and fraud far more difficult. One of the most inspiring aspects of this fight is what happens after confiscation. Land, companies, and buildings once owned by criminal networks can now be turned into symbols of rebirth. In 2023, about 40% of confiscated farmland in Italy was allocated to social projects, managed by local authorities, civic associations, and cooperatives. These projects produce sustainable, ethical agriculture, respecting both the environment and workers' rights. They give back dignity to communities that were once dominated by fear, but the process is not easy. Bureaucracy, slow procedures, and the risk of property decay still pose major challenges. That's why stronger cooperation between institutions, social enterprises, and citizens is vital. Creating partnerships between ethical farms and civic associations can transform confiscated land into a new model of social agriculture, one that combines economic sustainability, environmental protection, and social inclusion. When farmland that once belonged to the mafia becomes productive again, legally, ethically, and sustainably, it sends a powerful message. It tells us that the land can change hands, but it can also change meaning. From being a symbol of control and corruption, it becomes a symbol of renewal, community, and hope. Building ethical, sustainable supply chains is therefore more than good policy, it's an act of cultural resistance. It's how we create a true economy of legality, rooted in respect for human rights, biodiversity, and the dignity of labor. In conclusion, the fight against agromafia demands an integrated approach, one that combines prevention, enforcement, and civic participation. Public administrations must lead this process, but they cannot do it alone. Citizens, businesses, and institutions must all work together to defend legality, protect our natural and cultural heritage, and promote fair and sustainable development. The numbers speak clearly. In 2023, criminal activity in the agri-food sector exceeded 8 billion euros in value, with more than 45,000 violations recorded. These figures remind us of the urgency and the responsibility to act. Our greatest challenge now is to keep the principle of legality alive, to transform confiscated assets into opportunities for shared growth and to ensure that agriculture, the land that feeds us all, remains a space of peace, progress and respect for human dignity.